You can say that now.
Oh, there we go.
You can say that now. You're live. All right. So welcome to the Lovecraft eZine video show. This is Sunday, May the 17th, 2015. We skipped last week because of Mother's Day, and luckily, I just want to point out that on your screen, Pulver is dressed correctly. Rollick is dressed correctly. Lean back there, Pete. And
oh, he just went and changed. That is not fair.
I am not dressed correctly.
I never got a T-shirt. You can't hold that against me.
I'll fix that. I'll fix that. But I can't. I gotta find some different material so I can wear my own T-shirts. Thanks to my deal. Anyway, on the show today, we got
my new Lovecraft eZine T-shirt to say "Head of Security."
Yeah, we won't get in trouble for that, Necronomicon. On the show today, we got Thomas, and the short version is these are the guys behind the upcoming Elder Sign Radio, which is going to be an audio drama. Thomas, like me, is a fan of old time radio, so we have Thomas here, and then we have Toby, and I don't know you folks. What's your name, ma'am? In the middle.
I'm Jasmine,
okay.
And I'll be playing the lead character
Hazel.
in the radio play. So
Hazel, right?
Yeah, Hazel Blair.
I'm Anthony.
Yeah, I'll be playing Hazel Blair.
Okay.
Can you guys swivel the camera so we can see who's speaking?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, don't make it too hard on them. This is their first time. Okay, so Thomas here. Let me put you up on the screen, Thomas.
Okay.
You first contacted me about all this, and it sounded really interesting to me because, as I've said on the show before, I'm a big fan of old-time radio. So, you mix that with Lovecraft or anything else I'm interested in, and I'm especially interested. You guys, as I understand it, this audio drama is going to be, the setting is going to be modern-day Seattle, right?
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit and the plot of the show?
The plot of the show is that we've got Jasmine playing the disgraced former detective Hazel Blair. She had a mental breakdown early in her years as a detective. Anthony, who's also there, plays Jason Reed, who was her partner at the time, and yeah, Anthony right there. He plays Jason Reed, his partner, and again, I'm a little nervous about talking about the show, as everyone can see.
No worries.
Yeah, but the show takes place in a modern-day setting, and I know that a lot of Lovecraftian audio dramas that I've listened to, generally on the iTunes podcast store, they're generally set in the 40s. I feel like that is a very limiting setting. That a modern-day setting for our show gives us a whole range of different story material that we can use for the story, because it just intricate, basically, involving the modern day stylings of modern day Seattle, and then the gothic versions of Lovecraft. We can easily gain more story material. And Jasmine and Anthony actually want to talk about their characters a little bit more, so I'll go to them for that.
Let me jump in real quick, though, because I forgot to do what I'm supposed to do at the beginning of this show. Talk about what we're giving away to viewers. This is almost ready. This is a proof, but it'll look just like this. So we're going to give away a print edition of Joe's upcoming King and Yellowtails, which will be, I would say, done by the middle of the week. We just got a few very, very, very final things. And then, Matt, what do you got again, real quick, to give away?
I've got 2 books. One is a novella by Mira Grant. Pete Rollick tells me that's a pseudonym for somebody. I don't know who. It's called Rolling in the Deep, about an expedition that goes to look for mermaids in the Pacific and finds something else. It's not exactly Lovecraftian, but it could be. It's number 115 of 1,000 copies. It's signed by the author. And then there's this really nice book called Forbidden Tomes. It is by T.L. Roy. It sort of like has photostats and tables of contents and little snippets of books that appear in Lovecraft's work.
Yeah, you were saying before the show, if you're a Lovecraft geek, then that's something you'd really want.
And I'm saving everything else for future shows.
And Pete, you got one too, right?
Yeah, I have the omnibus edition of Quest for Cthulhu by August Derleth, which includes both the Trail of Cthulhu and Mask of Cthulhu. Not the greatest condition, but, you know, it's a giveaway.
Right.
It's
Thanks,
free.
guys. All right, so okay, so you guys want to talk about your characters real quick?
Yeah, sure. We're the two leads. So I'll be playing Hazel Blair. Thomas introduced her a little bit. She was a detective with the Seattle Police Force, and then after a traumatic event, she had a little bit of a breakdown, and the force didn't react very well to that, so she quit. And then 2 years later, which is when we're joining them in this story, she gets called in on what looks like a routine breaking and entering. You know, the police chief decides to consult her because she's working as a private investigator now. And Hazel's she's brash, but she's very intuitive. She's sort of the Mulder to Jason Scully, right? When things start to get a little bit weird, you know, she's the one who asks the questions and says, is this really just a breaking and entering? What about all of these loose ends that aren't lining up? And she's the one who investigates further against the suggestion of Jason and against the suggestion of the police force. So when she starts, I don't want to spoil the plot or anything, but when she starts stumbling upon more and more sort of eldritch or mysterious or Lovecraftian type things, she is scared, obviously, but not skeptical. She's very willing to go into it and investigate it, and she really wants to get to the bottom of what the Elder Tome and what the Elder Sign are.
What about your partner there, sir?
My name's Anthony Mendoza. I am going to be Jason Reed, and he's the exact opposite. He is skeptic and sarcastic and still on the police force and wants to just kind of do his job and not really make any waves. When weird stuff starts happening, he wants to just write it off as not really wanting to investigate it. He doesn't want to get into the weird stuff. He just says, "Oh, that's all weird," or "It's all crap. I'm done." So we're definitely yin and yang.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to spoil the whole story, so they're very vague right now, and that's because we haven't released our first few episodes with the exposition and the development of the characters. But yeah, we've put a lot of work and effort into the backstories. We've also been discussing, even in recording sessions, ways that we can further improve characters in ways that the audience won't see coming. Mainly with Hazel, the writers and Jasmine and Anthony have all discussed ways, and I think that Jasmine knows what I'm talking about. A personal issue with Hazel that kind of is going to stun the audience when it's revealed in a few episodes.
How many episodes will there be?
Upon release, I think we cut them down from an hour to a half an hour. So I think instead of 4, there's now going to be 8. Yeah, upon release.
8 half-hour shows?
Yeah, 8 half-hour shows, okay. All of which tie back into each other. They're now also not going to be called episodes. They're now chapters.
Okay. Salome, did your microphone start working? Can you hear us? Maybe not. So you're a fan of old-time radio, right, Thomas?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Do you have any particular shows that you like the best, or?
Honestly, I love listening to the old-time detective shows. I know everyone says Orson Welles, War of the Worlds, and I feel like that's a little overplayed. I listened to it. I got about 10 minutes into it and said, this is really boring. And then I was like, I need some information to go off of. I need something to play off of. So I just went on YouTube and typed in, mystery radio shows from the 50s, and I got a whole plethora of just radio shows. And I sat down and I listened to them for a good 2 days maybe before I even started writing, just because I wanted something to go off of. And while our show isn't exactly like the vintage noir, it's definitely an homage to it.
What can you remember? What I've listened to them for like 30 years, so maybe after listening just for a few days, it's hard to remember the show names. But if you can, were there any that stood out to you? I'm just curious.
No, I can't remember the names for the life of me. Again, I'm part of the new generation that focuses mainly on the podcast. I didn't even know that radio drama even existed until about 2 years ago. But that's just as Pete's laughing. Yeah. I'm part of that generation that's like, oh, podcast, and then people are like, well, before podcast there was radio drama, and then you're like, what's radio drama? And then the very first thing that people say is War of the Worlds, and then I'm like, oh, okay, then I know what you're talking about.
Well, no, we didn't. We don't all say War of the Worlds. Some of us say the Fourth Tower of Inverness, and then we say War of the Worlds.
Actually, Joe, I thought you would say that Three Skeleton Key Lights Out episode with all the rats on the island and everything.
Oh, well, there's a whole host of them. I mean, come on.
Now,
The Lone Ranger.
Mr. Moto.
Oh, yeah, we could do this all night, Pete. Rick?
What I also remember from my childhood, my dad is really big into television. He currently works with ESPN. And something that I remember as a kid was we had cassette tapes, and the cassettes were of stories and stuff like that, and you put them in, and they were of like short horror stories. So they were like an anthology of audio short stories that were all horror. And I just remember hearing ghost stories as like a 7-year-old and just listening to these cassette tapes that my dad just had lying around. And me, Toby, and Jasmine are really big into horror. We're huge into the horror anthologies. We're also huge into horror movies, horror video games. So horror's had a real impact on my life. And honestly, I'm just so surprised by the horror community, the Lovecraft community's what would the word be? Pleasantness. Everyone has been so kind and everyone's been so helpful. I know that Mike here, when I emailed him, I was expecting that I wouldn't get a reply, and then he just emailed me and straight up said like, oh, let's talk, and we had a conversation. I'm pretty sure over the phone about 2 weeks after. So I'm just surprised by the whole horror community as a whole is just so nice.
Yeah, we do that to suck you in, and then we show our true faces.
Yeah. we will need a small child to sacrifice later in the year.
Oh, don't worry about that.
We can do that.
We'll find a way.
Something we can handle.
Something that, just not these cats. Sorry if we're distracted. There are actual kittens crawling all over us right now.
You're fine. But actually, I want to point out that something that I learned an hour ago, which is that the reason why this is all happening is because of Toby, since she hasn't really said much yet. So apparently you wrote a script for these audio dramas or something to that effect, and then Toby told you couldn't stop there. Is that right?
Yeah. What happened was that I wrote a short story, and it's coming out here pretty soon. But I wrote that, and I was so pumped up from that I was like, let's write something else. And I sat down and I wrote a 70-page script, and I was like, look at what I did. Look, I made a script. And Toby said, you can't do that. And when I was like, what do you mean I can't do that? She said, you can't just write something and not do anything with it. You have to do something with it. So
wait, who's Toby?
Toby is my assistant director and girlfriend.
Which one? Okay, so
Toby is the girl with the glasses.
Okay, So yeah,
Yeah.
Two glasses.
no.
know.
The
That was
problem is,
just-
Toby, you're
that's
absolutely
what my son would
wrong.
say.
I mean, you can write stuff for decades and just put it in a little box and forget about it until you die, and then somebody just finds stuff and then just decides to print it.
Yeah, that's always how I've been. That's honestly.
No. Toby is inspiring him to get all this done. None of this would have happened without Toby. That's what I'm pointing out.
The thing is that she's to blame.
He was gonna stop at the end of the first script and just kind of put it away. And I said, "You don't ever finish anything, so why not finish this?"
Oh, it was like that. Okay.
Oh, like my
I think it's good, and I like. I like being surprised at reading the new scripts and like finding out what's gonna happen and discussing ideas. Because I'm the one who gets all the story ideas late at night at like 4 in the morning. Like, oh, what about this sewer monster? Okay.
No, but she's
And that's
my,
how we get the ball rolling.
Toby's my commonplace book. She's what holds all of my ideas, because I'll be driving in the car and all of a sudden I'll be like, Toby, I got an idea. What if we did a modern retelling of Color Out of Space, but the CDC shows up? Like, imagine that. And Toby's like, okay. And I'm like, is that good or bad? And she's like, that's like that. It's in the middle. Flesh it out a little bit. And I'm like, okay. I'll put it on paper. We'll see how that looks.
I guess it could happen these days. So you said these were chapters, quote unquote, not episodes. Does that mean that the 8 chapters, it's all one story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is all the formatting that we went by was it is a story written by an old man. We don't know his name yet. I will not reveal that in this. It'll soon come. But he's writing it to his son because he in his past knew of a woman called Hazel Blair. And Hazel, Jasmine, was an influential figure in his life, and he's writing the story to his son, telling him and warning him about the horrors of the world and the universe, and how eventually they're going to show up. But if they can't stop them, at least they can just fight back as long as they can until they just can't fight anymore. And so he recounts the tales of Hazel in this journal that he gives to his son before he dies.
Okay. So the whole story is told in flashback, in other words.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
effectively, yes.
Yeah, I really like that when it's done right. What's what I'm going to ask? The music. I noticed that you got some pretty cool guys doing the soundtrack for you.
Yes, we got Bong Ra with the Kilimanjaro Dark Jazz Ensemble, and we also got Cryo Chamber Dark Ambience, and a lesser-known figure, Peter Helland, who he's providing music for free for us. They're all actually providing music for free for us, and that was kind of the turning point for me. Was I wrote the first script, and Toby said I need to do something with it. So I said, well, okay, if the universe wants me to do this, if I'm going to do this, it's an audio thing, and I need music. So I went around, I scoured the internet, and I found Cryo Chamber, and I said, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just email them. And I emailed them, and I said, look, I loved your Cthulhu collaboration. It's about an hour long, and you can look it up on YouTube. And I said, it's great. I was wondering if I could get the masters and if I could use it for my show that I hope to make. And they emailed me and they said, generally, you have to pay a large fee to use our music every time you use it, but because you are a Lovecraft fan, because you're a horror fan, we're giving it to you for free. And, yeah, and so that was kind of like...
Did I hear that right?
What's that? Oh, Joe just froze. What'd you say, Joe?
I said, did I hear that right? You have music from Kilimanjaro DJO?
We had Kilimanjaro Dark Jazz Ensemble, Cryo Chamber, Peter Helland, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
And then we also have Bong Ra's newest album, the Thing with Five Eyes. We also have that one as well. So, and that's and
I've been a fan of Kilimanjaro for a long time. So.
Yeah, no, like we've been using their music. Their music is pretty complex. It's pretty heavy. So when I listened to it, I was like, this is great stuff, and we're gonna use it definitely. But we need something. You need something that's low key. And so I scoured the internet and I found this 19-year-old composer in Sweden named Peter Helland, and he released some music. And he said, it's for free, just tell me if you're going to use it. And I emailed him, and I said, your stuff is great ambience, and it's just a few chords, and I like that, and I was wondering if I could use it. And he emailed and said, that's fine, it's cool, and here we are now, with 3 musical collaborators and 20 actors. And
well, I have a question about this, then, because this is kind of like, I'm interested in the practical aspects of doing something like this. Mm-hmm. This sounds pretty expensive to have 20 actors. Now, is there any funding for this, or is this something you're kind of like putting together on a shoestring, everybody volunteering their time?
Yeah, everyone is right now. Currently, everyone is volunteering their time, and it's all coming straight out of my pocket. I've spent about $3,000 on this total, but what we're hoping to do is that when we release the episodes, and if we can get people interested in the show, that we're going to release our Patreon page. And with our Patreon page, we're going to say that everything that comes to the show is immediately going back to the show, whether it be equipment or our wonderful actors, Jasmine Anthony, Robert Simpson, all of them. I want to give back to the actors. And the equipment. I would want to get better at more and more equipment to make the show as best as I can make it. It's all come out of my pocket so far, and I don't really care about that. I don't really care about the money. I want to make a product that people like and people enjoy, and that's all that matters to me.
So then, are you going to charge for a download?
No. It's gonna be entirely free. You can download them from Stitcher, Podbean, iTunes, totally for free. But what I'm hoping to also do later on is, again, if we have people interested in the show, we can get people into the show, and people say, like, this is interesting, let me tell my friends, to have bonus material, which is us collaborating with Lovecraftian authors, Lovecraftian podcasts, get people involved in that way, and then we're going to have those secluded off and say they're $1. You can buy them for $1, or pay what you want, which is what a lot of podcasts are doing now, is pay as you want. So,
okay, so now, do you have anyone who's got professional level experience, say in direction or sound mixing, or I don't even know what you need anymore to do one of these things? Some people can just take a computer and away they go, but is this kind of everyone's just sort of going to be doing this on the fly as you go? Do you have a sound effects person? How's this work?
I've been trained in professional editing for a long time, and when I worked with my father in editing, the nickname that I was given was Magic Fingers, because I could be given an audio file or a video file, and all of a sudden it's just this wonderful thing that it wouldn't have been anything without the direction or the cameramen, but I have professional expertise in editing. Jasmine and Anthony have training in acting, and then basically we write it with about 6 people. We write it all, and a noise just happened, and I don't know what that noise was, but
it's fine.
Yeah,
that editing is. I've got someone that does the audio versions of the Lovecraft eZine issues, professionally edits them for me, and it's not as easy as it looks. Definitely.
Yeah. No, I was on the plane actually. My mom just got surgery to remove some cancer, and she called me about 3 days ago and said, hey, fly down to Texas, and I did. And on the plane, I was editing, and this old lady was just sitting next to me, and she's looking over my shoulder and watching me edit, and she's like, that looks so complicated. And I was like, well, it's not that hard. And she's like, it must be. Old as in like 70. More than 43.
Okay. Just checking.
I'm still impressed that he knows what a cassette tape is at his age. So.
I'm trying to figure out if Miss Piggy is working,
No, like so we do have training, and honestly, I've before this, I was like, I need to make sure that the show sounds good, and I listened back to it, and the first episode, which we did, which was almost done actually, and I listened back to it, and honestly, it sounds really good. Like it sounds. I was nervous at first. I was really worried that it wouldn't sound any good, but with the actors and the way that they give the inflections and take the direction, it honestly sounds fantastic. And I owe it all to Anthony and Jasmine and everybody. But yeah. But any other questions?
I think Rick has a question.
You're setting this in Seattle. When I think of Seattle and horror, I think of a movie called The Night Strangler from the 1970s that was set in the underground portion of Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Are you using that portion of the city in your drama?
I have several. Again, I have so many ideas. That's half the problem of the writing process, is that I wrote these first 4 episodes like I need exposition and I need some character development before we further the story. But then I sat there and I was like, but there's so many other great things I could do. Like,
for example, when we talked on the phone, I said, well, W.H. Pugmire lives in Seattle, so tell Rick about that.
So again, an aspect that we're doing within the show is we're promoting products, other horror podcasts, some serial podcasts, maybe we're doing Ask Lovecraft, some Etsy stores. Again, we're promoting horror, the horror community for free, basically. And the goal is that we want to spread our influence, but also help the community grow. And I contacted Mike, and Mike said, "Hey, you talked to W.H. Pugmire." And I was like, "Who is he? I've never heard of him." And he told me that he lives in Seattle and he's a really great guy. He's a little shy, but I'll contact him and tell him that I sent you over. And I said, okay. So I sent him an email and I said, I want to promote you. I want to promote whatever you're doing. And he emailed me back and said, well, I don't really have any products that I can give out. Like, there's nothing I can really give out. But what we can do is we can do a contest. That's what I want to do. And I said, whatever you want. And it was he said, I want to do the contest, and what the contest is it's going to be a horror short story contest later on this summer, where we're going to ask people to. I'm sorry, I'm getting texts, but let me turn my phone off.
I want to ask you though. So he was pretty excited because I suggested it to you, and then I emailed Willem and I said, are you interested at all? And
he was interested. He contacted me, and he contacted me and said, I don't really have anything that I can really sell, but I have these 10 books, and what we can do is we can do a contest. And I said, that's honestly a great idea. We can do that later in the summer. And I also talked to him about maybe collaborating with him on a future episode, but he told me that he had no experience writing scripts, but and he said that he wouldn't know where to begin. But no one, when you first start out, no one really knows how to write scripts. You just kind of you take a class and then you learn, or you do it through process and you learn that way. So I'm hoping later on that maybe I can collaborate with him because I know that his stories are all based in Seattle or near Seattle. So involving him would be a huge benefit to the show. It would be awesome to work with him.
Mm. Good to know. He emailed me back and he seemed pretty excited, but I didn't know if you guys had talked yet or not, so that's good to know.
Yeah. And half the reason why we chose Seattle, as the setting, was because it's dark and it's gloomy, and I'm Alaskan, so and I'm pretty sure Anthony's Alaskan as well. So we both know how in the summer it's constantly raining, it's constantly gloomy, except for like maybe a week out of the year. And as much as I wanted to do something in Anchorage, Alaska, that didn't seem really feasible to me. But then I thought to myself, what about Seattle? Seattle is also dark and gloomy, and it's by the sea, and it's a huge metropolis, so I said, why not there?
Yeah. Yeah, makes... Oh, yeah, right now, dark and gloomy sounds great. I moved to Texas a few years ago, and it's nothing but sunshine and 90 degrees every day.
I do not want to hear one word
And
out
then
of
it hits summertime.
Well, it's been stormy these past years.
Yeah, that's true. It has been. So
I can't go outside without raining.
I got sunburned driving to work the other day.
I don't know how you can get sunburned driving to did you have a convertible?
No, it's Florida. It doesn't take much.
Oh, it's Florida.
Pete is. We don't mention this on the show very often, but he's independently worked. And it probably happened in his helicopter.
It was on the boat.
Okay, so I noticed you posted some. Guys, jump in if you have any questions too. But I noticed that you posted something about a trailer coming later today. You have a trailer made, or it's coming soon, or something like that.
I literally just actually finished it last night. And I want to, and because I just finished it last night, I want to get the final approval from the leads and the others, the other writers, and just make sure that that's what we want. And then probably as early as tonight or tomorrow morning, and then as late as next week, we're going to be releasing a trailer for the show. And it's about 2.5 minutes. It's not very long. It kind of gives a setting, a stage for the feel of the show, and then it informs people when we're going to actually release it. We've been having some problems medically with some of the actors. Our narrator blew out his back, and so it's been a kind of an ordeal to get him in and working with us. But we're pedaling along. We should be done here probably by the end of May. Hopefully the show will be released now, probably late June, which is ideal, and then we can just go from there, release episodes 1 through 4, then episode 5 and 6. I've already got those written and taken care of, and then we're pretty much set for until October, and then we're going to release.
What's going to happen? You're releasing the first 4 episodes at once, and then there's a gap of time between the next ones. Do I understand that right?
What we're going to do is we're going to release episodes.
8 chapters.
Yeah. We're going to do is we're going to release episodes.
The first 8 chapters cover the first 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The first 8 chapters instead, because we split them up. So the first 8 chapters are going to be released. Chapter 1 is going to be released in the first week, then Chapter 2 the second week, Chapter 3 the third week, then Chapter 4 in the fourth week. So we've got a new episode coming every week, or pretty much beginning of the week to the end of the week until episode 5, and then we actually start going on the cycle. Then we actually start going on the rotation.
Okay. How long will the time gap be approximately then after you hit episode 5 between?
Me, Anthony, Jasmine, and the other writers actually talked a great deal about this. We at first we did the Netflix setting, the Netflix setup, as Anthony put it, but now we're going into a 30-minute. We're splitting them up. So the first part of each chapter will be released at the beginning of 1 month, and then the end of the second part of the chapter will be released at the end. So basically, it's going to be one chapter released every month, one part at the beginning, one part at the end. So about a 2-week period. We're probably going to be releasing let's say an episode comes out in August. It's going to come out the 5th of August, the first part. Then the second part will come out the 20th of August.
Okay. You guys,
is the story going to reach a logical stopping point after 8 episodes?
No. Well, no.
What's the question?
I've got an entire
logical stopping point.
Yeah, I've got an entire storyboard pinned up in my office of like, this is what episodes 1 through 14, which is now technically episodes 1 through 28 because we split them all in half.
Yeah, but at the end of chapter 8, is that the end of the first story, or?
Yeah, what we're gonna do is we're doing a story arc. They're like it's like a season, but so there's gonna be a legitimate conclusion after about 12 months. There's gonna be a legitimate conclusion. Yeah.
Okay, the end is not gonna be chapter 8. The end would be chapter 28.
28, yeah.
Right?
No. It'd be chapter 12.
Okay.
I should have asked.
So we have our first 8 episodes, and that'll be like just episodes 1 through 4.
Yeah.
Technically.
And
then we are going to release the 2 every month until chapter 28, which is where we'll end this season, and then we move on to Hazel's next big story.
Poor Anthony's not looking forward to the end of the season.
All right, so the whole storyline will not end until 28 episodes.
Yeah, this story arc will not end until the end of 28 episodes. And again, we've set and I've sat and I've pretty much planned this all out, and I've talked it over with everybody. Anthony is not going to be liking the end of the first season and the beginning of the second season. That's.
Don't give it away. Don't give it away. He's too excited. He wants to tell you all the story, everything right now.
People ask me all the time about the show, and I just sit here and I'm like, let me tell you everything about the show, beginning to end 3 seasons from now.
Well,
avoid the main question.
Yeah.
He'll explain everything except what you asked.
Yeah, you two have done acting before, though, if I understand it from Thomas previously, right? You guys are done this before quite a bit.
Yeah, we both have acting experience. We've both done plays in our community pretty much since high school, yeah. We've both been in theaters since we were little, pretty much. This is my first time doing voice work. Anthony is actually a radio host.
Yeah, I work in radio, so
he's not new to that.
This is a bridge of two passions. I love it, doing theater and acting, and then I work in radio.
Awesome. Okay, guys, we got any more questions for these guys?
How do we type? How do we do that?
How do you type?
There's a chat window.
They have questions for you.
Oh, Matt's got a question. How long's an episode? Isn't it 30 minutes? Did I count?
30 minutes. Yeah.
So 28 episodes, so that's a good long show.
Well, because we had the setup of an hour, we split it up into 30 minutes. So, because again, I wrote about 70. Every episode that I wrote was about 70 pages, and then we split it in half. So now they're all about 30, maybe 25 minutes, and that's pretty much about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I noticed since I'd listened to so much old-time radio as a kid, and there's a lot of audio drama on the internet that's done really well. I think some good horror audio out there. I don't know if you stumbled onto that yet or just listened to the old-time stuff, but.
No, I've honestly stumbled upon some really great modern audio dramas. The main one that I'm listening to right now, just to mainly I listen to the music of it. I don't even listen to the stories. Is the No Sleep podcast. I don't know if any of you have heard of that one.
No Sleep? What'd you say?
The No Sleep podcast. It's, again, creepypastas, the whole urban legends, online story, stuff like that. What happens is that this guy, David Cummings, he collaborates with authors on the Reddit forum No Sleep, and he basically creates an anthology of speculative fiction. So I've been listening to that, just again trying to get a feel for atmosphere, and then of course there's and his episodes are about 2 hours long, and then of course there's the Night Vale. Welcome to Night Vale. I don't know if any of you guys have heard that. I know that Jasmine and us have. They're great. They're a great setup. It's basically like community radio set in this weird town in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert, and it's great. So I've been listening to modern day speculative fiction, some weird horror, generally on iTunes. And if you guys haven't heard of No Sleep podcast or Night Vale, you should definitely go and check them out. They're really good.
Yeah, I've heard of Night Vale, but not the No Sleep. And if it's into that creepy pasta thing, that's pretty interesting. That stuff is pretty interesting, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, No Sleep is definitely something that I've been listening to a lot to recently, just because I like the setup. David Cummings really structures his site and his show very well. My only issue is it's about 2 hours long, which is where I can see, as I'm pretty sure Anthony told me this, everyone's going to have 30 minutes, but not everyone's going to have an hour. So that's basically the idea behind the show. Is not everyone's going to have an hour to listen to our show, so why not split it into 2 30-minute episodes which people can listen to?
Yeah, they're too busy watching this show for an hour and a half every Sunday.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds. I'm really excited to hear about this, and I'm really looking forward to listening to it.
Yeah, it's again, I'm just nervous to be on this show. You guys are huge influential figures in the Lovecraft community. So, as Matthew's like, whoa!
Well, Matthew.
Joe maybe. Yeah.
I'm just a regular guy.
Yeah.
Puts on his victim's skin one leg at a time.
Right.
So I just want to know, and this is going to be like the worst thing I could ever ask. Thomas, how old are you?
Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
I get this question a lot. I do.
Well, he's younger than 43, because didn't he a while ago say something about old people over 43?
Yeah, okay, well.
43? You weren't born. If we just take my age and deduct 43, I don't think you're that old yet.
I think I have T-shirts older than he is.
Probably. You probably do. And this is it surprises everyone when I tell them this. I'm 19. Yeah. And I've written the equivalent of a small novel. And as everyone's like, oh, God. And that's what everyone does. Everyone does the whole, like, oh, God, he's 19. I graduated high school early. I traveled through Europe for the longest time until I finally decided I need to go to college. So, but no, like I know that I'm young, but I've had experiences.
No, it looks like you're.
I just need to know what the competition looks like as it's coming up through the ranks. And,
Oh, don't worry, Pete. I won't usurp you yet.
You can throttle him in the cradle.
You had to add that word, that 3-letter word. You had to put that in there, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, because it's gonna happen. I'm gonna come to Florida, and I'm gonna be like, I'm here to take down Pete. Let's do this, Thunderdome style.
Go ahead and
I'm just, I'm literally gonna build a Thunderdome and be like, let's go, Pete, you and me.
We have one. It's in Disney. It's called Epcot.
Well, I'm glad that Disney has its own Thunderdome. Like, does Mickey and Goofy like go in there and they have like blood feuds? And
man, you have not seen anything since Goofy and Goofy face off with axes.
I'm just sitting here trying to remember the 19. Well, guys, It sounds great. I guess my last question is, it's Elder Sign Radio. Is there a specific title for the story that maybe I missed or forgot to ask? Or
Yeah, the show itself is called Elder Sign.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Elder Sign, and for good reason. But and then each episode is going to have its own title, its own chapter name. So yeah, so yeah. It's so the show is called Elder Sign. The production company that we made is Elder Sign Radio, which is where Elder Sign, which is why everyone's like Elder Sign Radio. Go follow them. Yeah.
Well, it's also kind of generic Lovecraftian, I guess, for lack of a better term, for future story arcs or future stories that you might do. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm really looking forward to listening to it, guys. Do we have any more questions for these guys before we let them go? No?
No, I'm going to go cry in my old people's cups after this, though.
He's going to go cry in his Geritol.
I gotta go take my pills for palsy.
Like, everyone asks how old I am, but no one asks how old Anthony, Jasmine, and Toby are. Like,
We figured at least 2 years older. So.
Well, the question is, am I older than the four of you combined?
I think that's an easy yes.
Let's make the damn kid walk the cane gauntlet, that's all.
That's right.
We'll see how old he feels at the end of the gauntlet.
Well, thanks everyone. Appreciate you guys coming on the show today and talking about it. Again, when's the first episode come out approximately? Or chapter, I should say.
We pushed it back a lot recently, just again because of the
Late June.
Okay.
As everyone's like, don't put a date, and I'm like, I know not to put a date. Late June.
I just have a couple suggestions. First of all, make sure you send us a link to the trailer so we can promote it when you get it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, you may want to consider having a presence at Necronomicon this coming summer.
Yeah.
I know, for example, the H.P. Lovecraft Literary Podcast has done live performances at the con.
And if you can't swing Necronomicon, Portland in October.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, we've been thinking about it. I've heard a lot about Necronomicon and the Portland Cthulhu Con. I've also heard about the San Diego Cthulhu Con, but yeah, I never really ever thought about like actually making an appearance or actually showing up or doing anything there.
Well, they're all a hell of a lot of fun, if nothing else,
Thomas, we're in if you are.
Oh wait, he's only 19. He can't drink.
That was probably
damn it. Well, I guess it'll.
He can't drink, but I can.
Yep. We'll be drinking.
1 year. 1 year.
You can't drink legally. Yeah.
No, I can't drink legally, but that doesn't mean I can't.
I have news for you, Pete. There are actually.
eZine does not endorse underage drinking.
No, I would never
It
do
endorses
I know that there's many.
You know what?
hundreds of
Let's
people
go
there,
right
there
on the
are-
record
I will
here.
be his designated drinker.
I had to see at least 5 or 6 people at Necronomicon last time that were not
For anything
drinking.
else,
So it
you reach
does happen.
legal age.
So,
So just keep paying your dues.
Soon enough. Soon enough.
Look, I would never do anything immoral.
Celibacy for 3 years, no alcohol, no legal narcotics. That's no big deal.
I think Niels would want me to say that you do not have to have alcohol or take your clothes off to have fun at Necronomicon.
Well, that's
other ways
good,
to have
right? I'm
fun.
not to take off my clothes in the Necronomicon.
All right.
Well, part of my contract is that I don't do nudity, so that was a deal breaker.
God,
right there.
I can't
It's not
imagine.
naked Nomicon.
But see, there was the ballroom party that degenerated into.
I wasn't there. I was. in
Yeah,
bed
it
on-
was not good.
Yeah, I did because we had to dress up, and I thought that was a deal killer too.
Things are going downhill. Yeah, they are.
I don't think Niels considered my jeans dressing up.
All right.
For those who do not know, Niels Hobbs is the
It'd be
organizer.
me, we crash.
Okay, well, guys, thanks so much. And Matt's right. Please send me the trailer when you are done and it's ready for posting, and I will post it. And thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and the trailer will be out as late as tomorrow, as early as tomorrow, as late as next week.
Yep, magic fingers.
Thank you
Sounds
for having
great.
Thanks for
us.
having us.
Okay, all you guys have to do to thanks for being on the show, everybody. All you guys got to do is close your browser. It'll
Salome, don't go.
Hooray! We'll just have to close our browser. Okay.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
Thanks
Easy.
for having us, guys.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Hi, Mom.
Thank you.
So I think your microphone's working now.
Bye.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming
Sorry,
on.
I
'Cause
don't know what
that-
happened.
I know it's late, like Pulver. It's late where you're at. So
Yeah, it's
for those who do not know,
sometime.
let me grab it. For those who do not know, let me put you on the screen. I'm saying your name right? Salome Jones.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, and this is the first Lovecraftian book you edited, Cthulhu Lives? And you're working on another one right now, right?
We're working on another one, which is, I think, going to be called Cthulhu Lies Dreaming.
Okay.
And Pete has a story in there.
I was going to say you're actually publishing Rollick. You probably should talk to me about this ahead of time.
I didn't think he was going to send it, but then after saying, "Oh, I don't know, maybe I won't have time to," and then
he's
2
highly
weeks later,
Like
he
you
was
got
like, "Here it is."
Yeah, that
And
happened.
maybe I'm gonna have a story from someone else over there on the other side of this screen, wherever
Right.
you are.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to ask the person I'm supposed to ask about that. So yeah, I'll try and find out tomorrow. Sorry.
Okay. I understand.
It was funny because, Salome sent me the email, and I was like, oh, yeah, this sounds great, absolutely. I'm in the middle of something. I have no idea when I'm going to have a break. And then it was like, oh, Cthulhu Lies Dream. Oh, yeah. And it was like, it just all poured out like in one fevered night of alcohol and now that I've actually submitted it and I've gone back and read it a few weeks ago, I can see like, yeah, that's where I started drinking, right about there.
Well, that's what editors are for, right?
God, I hope so.
Right, and edit sober.
Started drinking? What's this start?
Well, I occasionally try to start writing sober, occasionally, and then I break down sometimes, and it just all goes to hell in a handbasket. The words pour out, but between the dyslexia and the alcohol, words just don't mean it. Punctuation goes out the window.
No,
You're like the cosmic Hemingway.
Yeah, exact. Oh God, please no. He kills himself. You know how that story ends? He blows his head off.
I don't think the Lovecraftian public is aware of this, but Pete is a very, very fast writer. I mean,
apparently so.
Yeah, he writes very quickly compared to others, and I was feeling bad about how slow I write. Uh-oh. Look, now you've done it. You offended Joe.
Uh-oh, what happened?
No, he had a computer glitch earlier. I'm sure he'll be right back. Cross your fingers. But I was feeling bad about how slow I write, and then I saw a post from Laird yesterday. How he gets about one story done a month, and I thought, well, that's about what I do. I'm not doing too bad. Courses are a lot better, but still.
Yeah.
But no, Pete is a relatively fast writer, I think, compared to some. So.
Because basically most of the stuff I write is crap anyway, so.
I didn't say that. I said you were fast.
I don't think that story is not crap.
I appreciate that.
How did you get Lehman Kessler to write the introduction?
Lehman Kessler actually submitted a story. We asked him to.
Lehman wrote the intro for this one.
Yes.
He did. He wrote the foreword for that. Actually, I think Kenneth Haidt agreed to do the foreword today.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really good news.
Really cool.
Yeah, and he's man, that guy, he's forgotten more about Lovecraft than I'll ever know. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really shocked that I was gonna ask someone, and was making my list, and I was like, all these people scare me a little bit, so I was sort of procrastinating, and then I tweeted about it, and someone wrote, well, are you gonna ask one of these people? And Kenneth Hite was one of them, and he said, no, she's gonna ask Yoshi. It's always Yoshi, and I was like, no, it won't be Yoshi because we've had Yoshi before. And then I was like, are you interested? Just write on Twitter. And he was like, sure, if it fits with my schedule. So then we emailed, and he was like, yeah, as long as it's after the beginning of June. Okay.
Speaking of Kenneth Hite, I've been meaning to plug this for a while and tweet about it and post about it too, but doesn't he do this pretty cool podcast, Ken and Robin? Is it Talk About Stuff or something to that effect? You guys know about this?
Nope.
Well, anybody watching this, Google it. I think it's Ken and Robin Talk About Stuff, although please don't count on my memory. You can Google Kenneth Hite, H-I-T-E, and probably podcast or something, and you'll come across it. I'll try to remember to post the link later. But, yeah, man, that guy's knowledgeable. I made the mistake of being on a panel with him at a convention, and I just kind of sat there. So, no, that's not true. I contributed 2 sentences towards the end. So, but, yeah.
Oh, well.
He's pretty knowledgeable.
Panels, they're hard. I just sat here, and you couldn't even hear me. It was.
Well,
you just
have
pretend they couldn't hear you.
So, Salome, is there anybody else in the TOC that you can talk about yet?
Yeah, there are several people. Do you know who Brian Fatah Steele is?
Oh, yes.
He has a story in there that's a pretty good story. Who else? Well, actually, shockingly, I have 3 women in the book now already, and last time I only got 1 story from a woman, so I was kind of pleased with that.
Was this open submission?
It was open submissions, yep. We try to do it with open submissions just to give new writers an opportunity.
Right. Now, how hard was that? Not to get too touchy of a subject, but how hard was it to get maybe equal amount of submissions or whatnot from females as opposed to males? You got 3 so far, right?
We get nothing like the number of submissions from women from guys, but more this time. And I'm trying as hard as I can to take them, but still sometimes the story is just not there. There are 3. One of them is Lynn Hardy, who had a story in that book that you just held up.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Linnea Glasser. She's an RPG writer. She writes these choose-your-own sort of adventure things, and she wrote her story in the style of a choose-your-own adventure, where in second person. It's very interesting. And
that does sound cool.
Can I interrupt a second? There was recently a thread about that, or a discussion here, how it would be kind of cool to have a choose-your-own Lovecraftian adventure book.
Yeah.
Maybe she could write that.
Or maybe she could. I don't know. I will talk to her about it. She's really good. Her games are great. So we invited her to submit. And then there's another woman who is an horror writer. She's a literary writer, and I happen to know her, an acquaintance, and she accidentally wrote this story. She sent it to me for a different anthology, but when I read it, I was like, oh, actually, I think this would be better for Cthulhu Lies Dreaming. She's American. Her name is Ima Johnson. She's from Michigan. And so she's going to be there. And who else? G.K. Lomax. He has a story in that book. He wrote an amazing story. It's amazing.
How many are you going to have total, approximately? Do you know yet?
Well, word count. So I don't know exactly, but it'll probably be something like the last time. Something in the order of 17 to 20, depending on length.
Cool.
So I think I have 6 yeses so far, and a number of other ones that we've had this ranking system. So Tim was reading the ones that I chose today and giving them grades in various categories, and so I can sort of see where the others are going to come from.
And when will you decide on Pete's story?
Pete's story we decided on already. We decided on it right when it came in.
Thanks.
All right, so speaking of Pete, I posted something 2 days ago on the Lovecraft eZine Facebook page. There's an article at Boston Globe. Reanimator's 30 years old now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it looks like everything is a go for us to have an anthology out in time for Necronomicon called Legacy of the Reanimator. It will feature the original story plus 2 very, very hard to find round robins, all about Herbert West, and then there will be a whole bunch of original fiction, including stories by Rick Lai, and a whole bunch of other people that are absolutely escaping my head. Don't do this to me again, Mike.
Well, Joe is in some of the round robins.
Yeah, Joe's in is in the round robins. Bob Price is in both of them. We've got stories by Christine Morgan. We're going to reprint Molly Tanzer's story, Herbert West in Love.
Good story. I don't know who originally solicited that story, but he must be a mad genius of an editor. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, Matt, the publisher, God help me, is Chaosium.
So which Necronomicon is going to be out for?
Look, all the contracts are signed. The editing is done. Their supposedly layout is done, and the artwork is on its way.
Artwork for the cover, or artwork in the book too?
For the cover. So, you know, the whole concept behind this was that we tied in with the anniversary of the movie, and it doesn't work if it doesn't come out this year.
Does anyone steal a car in any of the stories?
No, nobody steals a car in any of the... Wait. No, nobody steals a car. There's a boat. There's a spaceship, but nobody steals a car.
Is the boat a yacht?
I sold the yacht last week. There's no yacht.
Oh, I'm sorry. Salome doesn't know the story of the car. 30 years ago, Pete was of an age
when I was young,
own a car, and so he wanted to go see the Reanimator.
Thomas.
Huh?
Never mind.
He did not own a car yet. Let's put it that way. We don't want to be indelicate.
I borrowed a car.
He borrowed his grandmother's car.
He stole his grandmother's car to go see Reanimator. That's what happened. So.
I see.
Last year, when he got out of prison, he began writing.
On a boat, apparently.
On a boat, apparently. You like to go fishing, you live in Florida, all of a sudden you have a yacht full of women. I don't know how this happens.
No, that Pulver
Don't post pictures of me with, on a yacht full of women. I don't know how this happens. It's Florida. It's the drug capital of the United States.
It's full of yachts full of women.
It is. It is.
Is it really the drug capital of the United States?
Actually, I don't think so. I think Tennessee is now, but it used to be.
No, I have a better question for you. Is Travis McGee still in Cedar Key?
There is a plaque in Fort Lauderdale where the
Really?
Busted Flush is supposed to be, yeah.
Are you serious? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
The Bahia Marina? Yeah.
Did you ever read that unauthorized sequel where Travis McGee died?
no.
It's called The Black Squall. I can't remember who wrote it. It was the main character was his illegitimate daughter, who was mentioned in one of the novels.
Yeah, she showed up in the very last book.
Well, they have her. she has to marry to have a different name to avoid copyright problems, but she's investigating the death of her father and his best friend, who's of course supposed to be Meyer.
Okay.
Huh.
So let's get back to Salome because I've gotten enough views.
Yeah, well, the reason why Salome is here is for everybody watching. She is not a guest. I keep getting emails saying, and they essentially go something like this: Mike, when are you going to class up the panel? It's all the same. It's re-paraphrasing that same question over and over. And so, I asked her if she would do that. So that's why she's here.
You didn't tell me you wanted me to class up the panel. I would have dressed fancy or something.
Oh no, you're doing that.
Now, there is a question on the eZine webpage.
Yeah.
For Salome, which is the anthology still open for submissions, and how many more stories do you want?
It's not technically open for submissions because we decided that we were going to have enough stories. Although we haven't picked them all yet, we're still reading. We got a lot of stories. So it is possible that when we're all done, I might make an emergency second call for submissions. But right now, it's not open for submissions.
But supposing if this is another successful book, you might then do a third book.
We might do. And we might actually have enough stories, crazily, from this that we might get the best part of a third book out of it. In which case, well, I don't know what I would do. Hold on to them or talk to the authors or open a call and try to get another book ready and let it out a bit later. I don't know. That would be a good problem to have, I guess.
The publisher is Ghostwoods. What else have they published? I don't think they're brand new, if I remember right.
No, we started in 2010 as only digital, and then in 2013 we published our first physical book, which was Red Phone Box, with Warren Ellis, and it is a story cycle. It's basically a novel written by 28 people. Stories.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's a.
What's the title again?
Red Phone Box.
Red Phone Box. Okay.
Yeah. And then we published a novel called Those Rosy Hours at Mazandaran. It's a historical dark fantasy, sort of a prequel to The Phantom of the Opera. It takes place in Persia by Marion Grace Woolley. And we experimentally published a kind of romance novel, which we're going to retitle and re-release this summer. But it's still out there. It's called How to Bake a Man right now. But don't buy it now. I advise you not to if you're thinking of it. Just wait till we retitle it and recover it, and it'll be prettier.
Actually, I like that title, How to Bake a Man.
I know, but it really isn't about baking a man. So.
It's false advertising. I see why you're changing the title.
People did sort of think, is this about cooking a man? And that made them want to buy it, and then they were disappointed.
Sales dropped off after they realized it was not a recipe.
We published a novel by Greg Stolze. You may know who he is. You may not. He has written some Lovecraftian stuff. And it's a novel called Switch Flipped. It's a urban fantasy. And we're going to re-release that one too with a cuter cover. Now that we're doing things in print, when we published those books in digital only, even though the cover was still important. Now we have Gabor Segas, who does our covers, and he's awesome. The Cthulhu Lives cover.
Yeah, this is a nice cover, which I want to ask you, is this available in digital too? And the upcoming Lovecraftian one? Okay.
Yeah, they'll all be in all formats. We're going to do an audiobook of Cthulhu Lives also.
Oh, really?
I'm negotiating with the narrators right now. I think I might get Lehman Kessler to do if you've read that book. Some of the stories are written by American authors, and some are written by British, and some are Australian. So I sort of want to get the different voices. I don't want to have one narrator read them all.
Yeah.
Some of them are clearly British, and some are clearly American. So
I noticed those Stephen King collections that are audiobooks, they've got a lot of different actors, for each. I mean, different actors for each story. And in fact, that story I'm always going about, N, the letter N, has got at least 3 actors in that one story.
Yeah. I've seen some stuff like that, but it's a bit beyond our capabilities at this point. Unless we got your team who were on earlier to do it for us. But they might burn the audio out with all their energy.
Oh.
Yeah. 19, wow. Holy moly. But he seems to be doing great. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty impressed with it. Speaking of audios, I emailed Wayne June, and I don't remember which one of us emailed the other one first, but I asked him something about, I'd like to have you do the audio versions of the Lovecraft eZine issues, but I doubt if I could afford you. He said, I don't know, give me a call. Someone may call him this week. I doubt I can afford him, but we'll see. You guys know who Wayne June is, right? Yeah.
Now, Salome, I see a lot of stuff come across.
I'm sorry, he reads a lot of Lovecraft stories. He's known for it. He's really good. Go ahead, Pete, sorry.
I see a lot of stuff come across my feed, but was it Ghostwood Books that got approached by somebody weird to try and make contact? Was that you guys? Am I remembering this correctly?
Can you say a little bit more about it?
You guys I think a law firm contacted you guys to try and work with you and wanted to meet in person. Is this you guys? No?
I don't think so.
Okay, then don't worry about it. Okay.
There was a weird thing that happened, but it was a private investigator.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Did you hear the end of that story?
No, I didn't.
Tell
the whole
story. It was a private investigator. So I have an assistant who works with me 2 days a week answering our emails and stuff, and someone sent 2 emails to the office when she was there and said, we're venture capitalists, just something really weird, like, how do we become backers? And she was like, well, you can't really become backers except when we're doing this, crowdfunding, which is not now, and I don't know if we'll do it again. Well, what if we want to call you? What's your phone number? Well, we work all around the world. You can't really call us. What? We can't call you? That's crazy. We're venture capitalists. We want to give you money. And she basically said, well, we probably won't take your money because it's against our ethos. We're like fair trade publishers, and we don't want the consequences of taking money from investors. And they're like, oh, just a bunch of crazy stuff. And then finally, she said, I don't think they're venture capitalists because they're too weird. So she wrote back to them and she said, who are you anyway? You're not venture capitalists. Are you just some dude who has a crush on Salome? That is not unheard of, unfortunately. And he wrote back and said, what?
He has to get in line.
She didn't say that. Anyway, moving on. He said he's English, some English private investigator. No, I don't fancy her. Call me and I'll tell you what the story is. It's very interesting. So she talked to me, and then I was like, oh, fine, call him. I have no idea what it is, but
from a blocked line.
Yeah, call him, but don't let him have your phone number. So she called him, and then she told me that he was an investigator investigating a fraud, some sort of art gallery fraud, by someone, apparently someone named Salome Jones from London, and they had her birth date which was 1962 or something, and Alice said, well, she's not that old, and her birthday is in April, not whenever this lady's is. And he was like, I know, we're really confused because we saw it on her Twitter, but
Yeah,
why do you...
it's so confusing because Jones is such a strange last name. Nobody else has that last name. Looks like David.
Right, but Salome Jones, and living in London. And the weird thing is, along maybe 3 years ago, when I had been living in London for a couple of years, I was like, I wonder if people can find me here. And so I did a search for myself, and I found that there was another Salome Jones, and it had to be this lady. I remember that she was older than me, and I was like, oh no, people are going to search, and they're going to think I'm old, which just shows you my ridiculous way of thinking. But I don't know. Anyway, once she told them that stuff, they stopped bugging me. But it was weird. I was really freaked out by it at first because I was like, what do they want? What have I done? I'm combing through my whole history like, what could I possibly have done? I don't think I've broken any laws.
Wow. All that from doing this, you're saying?
Yeah.
Weird. Okay, so in a minute, I'm gonna. Yeah. What?
Can I just plug a book that I had nothing to do with that I think is pretty cool?
Sure.
Everyone see this? It's not even expensive, like $10 or $12 on Amazon.
Right.
It's called Gothic Dreams Necronomicon. The text is by Sammy Main, intro by ST. It is about the Necronomicon and its history and stuff, but the reason you get it is it's just packed full of awesome digital art. I can't even do this. I'm too old to do this, okay? But it's really got, there's over 25 artists involved. It's just chock full of great pictures. Practically every page, and most of them are in full color.
Did it just come out, or has it been out for a while?
It came out in April. You know, I heard about it on ST Joshi's blog, and I finally got my copy, and it's really quite pretty. So if you're interested in Lovecraftian art, it's well worth looking at.
The title and author again?
The author is Sammy Main, spelled like the state, and it's called Gothic Dreams Necronomicon.
Okay. Gothic Dreams Necronomicon.
You might even want to have, I don't know, Mr. Main on the show.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so we're going to give this away in a minute. And let's see, Matt's got 2 books to give away. Pete's got 1 book to give away. Did you guys see this article on Gizmodo? This watery graveyard is the resting place for 161 sunken spaceships. I linked to it the other day on the Facebook page. It's like right where Cthulhu's sleeping, allegedly.
You can tell that on a Google map?
I think there's exact coordinates. Pete would ask Pete; he would know. So.
Well, so I geeked out. You can get the coordinates from the Call of Cthulhu.
Right.
And then you go to Google Earth and you just plug them in, and it gives you a little, dot. And so yeah, you can.
You can see the dot, and does it say anything?
No, it doesn't.
Damn them! Write to Google. Put this on the map, people.
But here, this says, this lonely region is near Point Nemo, the point in the ocean which is furthest away from any landmass, which may be why Lovecraft chose it. Name for Captain Nemo, we knew that. These aren't just the home waters of the fictional Lincoln Island, Captain Nemo's last stronghold, and the hidden port of the submarine Nautilus. H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos also puts the sunken nightmare city of Relay not too far from Point Nemo, right in the middle of Spacecraft Cemetery. So I guess a lot of spacecraft are falling out of the sky right there. I mean, I don't know why this is.
Your point about Point Nemo raises an interesting question. Did Vern give the coordinates of the mysterious island? I have to recheck the book.
Yeah.
Good
I'm
question.
wondering if Lovecraft got the coordinates from Verne.
Okay, yeah. So, I wonder if it's done on purpose, because you do have some control over that. So since that's the farthest point from land, it's the safest place to drop a satellite.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Your chances of hitting somebody go down dramatically.
Yeah, Ivan wanted to know, you mentioned the Night Strangler earlier, Rick. Wasn't the Night Strangler a Carl Kolchak story? Yes, it was. And
the second Kolchak movie was it had an insane alchemist living in this secret portion of Seattle. It was like, I forget what happened in Seattle. There was a fire or an earthquake or something, and there was like an abandoned portion of the city. This is historically accurate. It was like an underground portion of Seattle. And you could go on tours through.
Wow,
So they had some killer living there.
That's pretty cool. And for those we have not bored about this in a while, and that old Kolchak series is on Netflix right now, but they have been, they are, they will be. That's kind of Lovecraftian. We've talked about this before. Been a couple of years.
And very X-Files too, as well.
Yeah.
That's where we get the whole Men in Black. That's the first time I ever saw something about Men in Black on television.
Yeah, that's true. Night, Matt. Matt said
Night. See you around.
Yeah, the way Kolchak is just, Pete said it better a couple of years ago, but digging up information and finding information from different areas. They have been, they are, they will be.
Yeah. That's the UFO story.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, Moonstone Press is finally going to move on that Kolchak story I wrote years ago that many of you have read.
Oh, cool.
The one that it's a mythos story in the style of C.J. Henderson, who did Kolchak Cthulhu mythos stories.
Okay.
Which there's more of those Kolchak mythos stories.
There's a collection called Kolchak Necronomicon.
Right.
Which has them all.
Okay, so go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
That's a C.J. Henderson collection. So it was a trilogy of Kolchak Necronomicon stories.
For those out there who would like to be part of the random drawing for King and Yellow Tales, Volume 1, and then Matt had those really cool books on the screen there, and Pete's got this book. So we got 4 winners. I will not do the drawing tonight because I want to include those who, I know a lot of people watch it on Monday and Tuesday, so I'll do the drawing on Wednesday this time, and just send an email to Lovecraft eZine prizes. This is going to be the same each time, not the old email address. Lovecraft EZINEPRIZES. I'll post it on the message board also, and then in the subject put whatever book you want me to do the random drawing or randomly draw you for. I use random.org. So, and so I think that's all we got. Next week we got, who do we got? Next week, oh right, Brett J. Talley.
No.
Right. Can I plug a book that I have nothing to do with?
Absolutely.
Well, we've been mentioning before this illustrated Lovecraft series that's come out from PS Publishing. And they did a version of At the Mountains of Madness. They published in the back a story I never heard of from Weird Tales that was a major influence in At the Mountains of Madness. It's called In Amiston's Tent by John Martin Leahy. And basically it's about set in the South Pole was a monster from outer space that kills people in the opposite way that a Shoggoth does. So that was like, to me, that was a big surprise to find some story. Somebody unearthed a story that influenced at the Mountains of Madness that nobody had.
Well, what about the John Campbell story? Who goes there? That influenced the thing. Is that possibly influenced from that as well? I mean, sounds.
No, I think Campbell got it from Lovecraft.
Okay.
So if we're going
This story
down,
was written in 1928 in New York Times.
Can you hold that up again?
He illustrated at the Mountains of Madness.
Illustrated at the Mountains of Madness. Who did it?
PS Publishing.
Oh, okay.
This is part of their series that they're doing with Pete Shelley. So you get great
illustrated the whole thing.
That's the historical interest. It's a pretty decent horror story too.
so years ago this came out.
Right.
Yeah.
And we will say nothing more about that. Those of us
Why
who
not?
this is
It's
now
out now.
it's out now.
The new one is out.
The new one is out. It contains 2 more stories than this one did, including in Amundsen's tent.
It was called Beyond the Mountains of Madness.
Beyond the Mountains of Madness, which was the original title that we all agreed to, and not the perversion that we got.
Yeah, this is gonna be worth money. The original, because like 5 people have copies.
So this new one is out. It's got stories by me and Joe, Glenn Barris, Pierre Contois, Ken Asamatsu, T.J. Henderson, Sammons, Cody Goodfellow, Ed Morris, Will Murray, William Michael, and John Martin Leahy, the story that Rick was just talking about.
Oh, okay.
And just something cool. My original has this,
Yeah.
which is a drawing and signature by Cody Goodfellow. So that's my retirement. That's my retirement right there. So I'm going to retire on that. So yeah. So anyone that thanks Pete. So and Rick. So anyone who does not know who Brett J. Talley is, he's the author of That Which Should Not Be. Excellent Lovecraftian novel. I really enjoyed it. And he just came out with, or it's about to come out, can't remember which. I'm reading it now. He Who Walks in Shadow, which is kind of a sequel to it. Although you don't have to read the other one first, but I recommend it. If you've not picked up That Which Should Not Be, I highly recommend it. And we're going to talk to Brett next week. So anyway, thanks everybody.
That's available currently.
Oh, is it available now?
It's
He Who
available
Walks in Shadow.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's well, the Kindle is pre-ordered.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if the paperback is.
I'm
No,
reading.
it's pre-ordered. It's only available for pre-order.
Yeah, I think it's next month. But yeah, you can pre-order it. So.
It says May 22nd is the date. It's the publication.
Oh, that's good.
So soon.
So. All right. Thanks, Salome, and thanks for being on the show, guys. Thanks everybody for watching. Talk to you guys soon.